I'm Emily Monato, and Renee Cooley and I have this lighting design company in New York City called Cooley Monato Studio. We formed in 1991 and have been doing this ever since. The type of projects that we actually started with were museums and corporate art collections, which lasted for a couple of years. And then little by little, I think we got into retail. And because that's so visible from a public point of view, and it's so out there, everybody can see it, and it gets a lot of press, that as soon as we started getting awards, we became experts in the industry's eyes. And that became our niche market for many, many years. And then we started doing a hotel or two or three, and that became our next big chunk of work, along with condominiums. They just seem to follow each other, hospitality, and then these residential projects. So that's been also a big part of our portfolio recently. I, on bad days, insist that people hire us so that they have somebody to blame afterwards. But really, the technology now is so fast and furious that I feel that our role is really to be the interpreter and the educator, because nobody who is handling the interiors, or if it's an exterior project, the exterior portion of a design, can really, I think, have a continuous grip on all of the different products that are available, and then moreover, how to integrate all of it. So I think we've become indispensable in that respect. It's interesting because I just came from Light Fair, and one of the lectures that I saw went into just that. Somebody gave a lecture about, the crystal ball, what does follow. And what was so fascinating to me, because I'm not an engineer and I don't get involved with building systems in general, and quite frankly, the design interests me a lot more than a lot of the techie stuff. That because the internet is so prevalent, that lighting fixtures and lighting systems is the ideal conduit for bringing information from an environment, a built environment, of things that have nothing to do with lighting. So the future of lighting design, I think, is going to become more universal. People who are not involved with lighting are going to be drawn into the need to understand it. And they're going to need us to be, again, the interpreter of a lot of that information, at least to begin with.
Although Comos is not associated with healthcare projects, I had the chance to experience clinical environments firsthand as a patient. I'd had a stroke while climbing pyramids in Mexico. During my long recovery, I realized how some of the lighting details that we use in hospitality and residential projects could greatly improve the healing environment, and therefore emotions and attitudes for both caregivers and patients through better color temperature, CRI, glare control, and dimming.
I've always wanted to integrate what I've learned about lighting into the healthcare field, which I know is big right now, the whole human-centric initiative with WELL. And so it's good timing, but again, our niche or our reputation sort of not prevents that, but people don't associate us with that type of work.
With the recent events focused on world healthcare and its environments, attention to lighting as a powerful tool
I would absolutely
in recovery
love to
and
become
wellness
involved,
is more
because
important than
I think
ever.
lighting's lighting, and it applies to all built environments. So a patient or a physician should benefit from the knowledge that we have making people feel good in, you know, a hotel or a restaurant. It, I think, applies even more so when you're sequestered in certain areas because of no choice of your own. But also, I would love to explore, and we actually have an opportunity which I can't disclose, not yet, to understand how alternative sources of energy can help power the lights that we are specifying. I don't feel like I'm helping to save the universe doing what I'm doing. So how could I understand how to do that a little bit more? Tiffany & Company has been our client for 20 years, which is amazing. I love it from a personal point of view, but our relationship with them has allowed us to not only learn about a lot of the technology as it applies to their stores, but also has allowed us to experiment through various projects. So in hiring us to educate them and to bring lighting to their environments, we've had to explore a lot. And through successive stores and prototypes and rollouts, we've had a chance to experiment and then travel around the world to make sure that it all looks good in the end. Here, 37 Wall Street, that was one of the very first 100% LED installations. And we actually had to create with a manufacturer several fixtures that didn't exist before. And the fact that Tiffany allowed us to do that was amazing. And I would say that I was very happy to finally have gotten away from incandescent as the main source of light. I mean, the honest answer is when Renee and I started, we had, like many other people, like nothing to lose. We were working off of a single desk. Actually, she got the desk. I got a board on top of a fax machine. That was my desk. And we were sharing the bathroom with a cat. So we started from very humble beginnings. And the first 5 years sort of followed the bell curve formula for new business. It was a struggle. And I would say the last 3 years have been the closest that we've come to those first 5 because the business, at least our place in it, changed so much. I think part of it is related directly to the recession, where our business never fully recovered. I think along with other design disciplines, it's not just lighting. So the profit margins aren't there. The fact that our industry, our profession as lighting designers has also grown. There's a heck of a lot more competition. The internet, again, has served to widen that competition to other parts of the globe. And companies now are comprised of team members who are awake when you're sleeping and who can deliver product quickly and for a lower cost. So from that point of view, we've had to try to reevaluate where we are in this world and whether or not people actually value the experience that we have for the budget or within the budget that they've learned to allocate, which is getting smaller and smaller. The schedules are getting shorter and shorter, and the thing is, people are delivering within those strained circumstances. So if the client is getting exactly what they want from a number of different competitors, we have to step up and do the same. without sacrificing our core values of being hands-on and offering that kind of customer service that, quite frankly, I can't do business without. So there has been a challenge, and it hasn't been easy. But having people who are younger on our design staff have kept me in touch with what is required these days. And my much younger principal in our firm is also helping to just keep us current, keep us relevant. Influential in my career, well, by all means, Horton-Lee's lighting, all three of them, Jules, Horton, Barbara, I guess she's Horton now, but she was Chianchi, and Stephen Lee's. They really took me in. They took me in. I was fascinated by this industry I didn't even know existed. They gave me the opportunity to learn on my own, as well as the projects at such an early stage, just like 2 months out of school. They were giving me projects, and I really appreciated that. I've never forgotten the opportunity that they've given. And then, of course, Renee Cooley. She didn't know me more than a couple of hours before we were actually working together, and a year later becoming partners. So, yeah, we trusted each other, but she trusted me very quickly, and our personalities meshed. So again, none of this could have happened without her. I think it's never changed in that I am still fascinated by what light can do and how it affects people emotionally in ways that they don't even realize. So it's a very powerful tool that needs to be understood and carefully applied, because it could literally save or ruin a project. And I think some people who have had both good and bad experiences realize that. But quite frankly, the majority of our clients haven't been to those extremes. So we need to make sure that they don't hit, the bad extreme. It's certainly not on our project. I've actually had to defend our own company because for many years, the rumor, at least through schools that we hire from, told the male students, don't even bother with Cooley Monato because they only hire women. I had no idea that that was our reputation, but looking back, I don't think that there was ever a preference for women. It's just we always went for the portfolios that stood out. Very often were attached to women. So that's who we hired. And so, I don't know, maybe from my point of view, I've seen the other side where our particular company has always been female-centric, but certainly not exclusive. I think maybe the one thing that comes to mind is somebody came up to me one day and said, I'm a fan of your work, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I'm thinking, oh, that's great. But then she said, and I just wanted to let you know, it's very inspirational to know that you've been able to have not only a lighting career, but a business and a young family. And I never really thought about all three of those. I mean, they are big, no matter what industry you're in. But she said, And I want you to understand that the fact that people are doing what you're doing means that maybe I could. Maybe, you don't have to choose. There are ways to balance all of those things. If you want it, you just need to go for it. So I think that that made my day, just to know that somebody was appreciative of that, and that indeed it can be done, and you can have fun doing it. There's always going to be sacrifice, but if you really, really want something, I think there's so many opportunities out there, and there are people who are actually willing to help you get to those goals.